Hi guys, so for this video I'll be looking at the CSEC 2023 paper 2 geography exam. Stay tuned.
I see the comments and requests and I will act on them. Please remember to follow Geography World channel on Instagram and Facebook using the link shown on the screen. Please remember to like, share with your friends and subscribe. For person wishing to contact me privately, you may email me at geographyworld100@gmail.com. The link will be posted below.
So today we're looking at the 2023 May-June CSEC paper 2. This is question number 3. So we are given a table that shows the birth rate per 1,000 of the population for country Z between the years of 1990 and 2015. We're to answer the questions that follow. Now the first part to the question asks that using the data in table 1, you're to draw a line graph on the grid provided to basically illustrate the birth rate of country Z. You're to also label the vertical axis, and that's all of 4 marks. So this is how your line graph should look. So what you're doing is basically plotting the birth rate per 1,000 against the years. So the years at the bottom, and then here on the vertical axis we have the birth rate per 1,000. Once you're finished plotting, you will have a graph that looks something similar to this. This line graph looks similar the way you can see there is a decline, and then there's a steady increase, and then it starts to decline once more. So once you were able to do this is 4 marks. Part 2 to the question asks that you write one statement about the population of country Z for the period that is explained. So one thing about country Z is that the population decreased between the 1990s to 2015. Now some students like to write that the population fluctuates, but in this case it only fluctuates once, and that's where you had this a slight increase, but mostly the population decreased. So you can just go ahead and write the population decrease between 1990 to 2015, and your answer is okay, and that is 1 mark. Part B to the question, so that's the graph that the blank graph that is given to you that you will do your plotting on. Part B to the question asks that you outline how 2 of the following factors influence the distribution and density of population in the Caribbean. Now remember that population distribution describes the way people are spread out over a given region, while population density refers to the number of people in a square unit of area in a given place. So population distribution and density, they are affected by many factors such as physical, historical, and socioeconomic factors. We're going to look at each. Let's start with physical. Now the Caribbean is blessed with varying physical release which motivates the population to settle. Most Caribbean countries have their population settled along the coast where it is flat and easily accessible, with mountain regions being sparsely populated or uninhabited. The population of the Caribbean tends to settle in areas where the soil is deep and very fertile, and as opposed to areas where the soil is infertile. Caribbean population settle close to the natural resources such as gold in Guyana and bauxite in Jamaica. So in the Caribbean, when we talk about physical, the first thing that comes to mind is the relief of the land. Flat land close to the coast is usually the preferred area that persons settle, as opposed to mountainous areas which are sparsely or almost uninhabited. Then persons settle close to the natural resources if there is any in that area, usually due to the fact that they have to work in those industries. And then persons also settle based on the fertility of the soil. So farmers, they realize that farming communities are usually heavily populated due to the soil being very fertile as opposed to areas where the soil is infertile. Explain 2. You can explain physical. I think this is 4 marks, so you can explain any 2 parts of physical to get 2 marks out of the 4. Now historically, historical factors can explain the pattern of population distribution. Past population distribution influence present and future population concentration. The duration of settlement is important in determining the population density. Many of the areas with high population concentration have had a very long history of human habitation, while sparsely populated areas can in part be explained by recent habitation. So when we talk about historical, you have historical data that supports population distribution and density. So some areas, for example, let's look at the urban areas. Those areas have historically for years been the have a high population density, right? Rural areas, they have a lower population density. So what you realize is that most persons live in the cities as opposed to the rural areas. Some communities, a lot of persons live in there, which means that they have a high population distribution and density as opposed to some communities. So the historical data that supports population within a given area helps to influence its distribution and density as well. Let's talk about socioeconomic. Now, poor public services, including education and healthcare, it discourages people from living in an area, leading to a low population density. Things like civil war and persecution can lead to a low population density as people move to escape violence. Governmental corruption can lead to a low population density. When we talk about socioeconomic factors, it includes cultural characteristics, types of economic activities, technology use, and social organization. So, socioeconomy, it focuses on the economy as well as something that is affecting a majority of the population. So with socioeconomy, once the socioeconomic factors in that community is being affected, you realize that population distribution and density is going to be low as opposed to area where all these factors are okay or are manageable. You realize population density and distribution is higher. Areas that usually have a very high social issue, they tend to have a lower population as opposed to areas where social issues are very low. They tend to have a higher population distribution and density. You are only to focus on any 2, and 4 marks should be yours. Let's move on to part 2 of the question, where you're to study the table that shows the birth rate of Barbados and Nigeria for the period of 2019 to 2021. And with that, you are to look at the trend and answer the question. So it says here to outline 2 possible reasons for the difference in birth rate between Barbados and Nigeria. Looking at the table, let's talk about the difference in birth rate between Nigeria and Barbados. So Nigeria has a higher population than Barbados, hence Nigeria has a higher fertility rate. More persons are reproducing in Nigeria. Now, some of the factors include we have access to contraceptives. Now, in Nigeria, the use of contraceptives is not encouraged. However, in Barbados, there is a widespread use of contraceptive, and this has to do with culture. There are some sections of Nigeria where contraceptives are not promoted due to cultural factors, but in Barbados, there is a widespread use and education about contraceptives. Next, we have economic advancement. Barbados is economically advanced, hence most of its population have access to education, hence delaying reproduction, while in Nigeria, due to economic constraint in certain sections, you will hear that with economic problems, the birth rate seems to increase drastically. Now, Nigeria is bigger than Barbados, so what you'll realize that section of Nigeria has economic constraints that will basically influence the birth rate that is seen in the table, as well as increased migration rates. So many persons in Barbados migrate to other countries in search of job opportunities, hence reducing the population in Barbados. In Nigeria, however, the migration rate is less, and what you need to understand is that these are two different countries. Even though their rates look similar, it has to do with the population. Nigeria has a larger population than Barbados. Population data is influenced based on the amount of persons living within these areas. So Nigeria has a lot more people than Barbados. Barbados has thousands, while Nigeria has millions. Once you're able to list two possible reasons, then 4 marks should be yours. Part C to the question asks that you explain two causes of population growth in urban areas in the Caribbean. So reasons why there is an increase in population in urban cities in the Caribbean include: 1. Urban areas are usually an employment hub, which motivates persons from rural areas to migrate to urban areas in search of jobs. 2. Urban areas usually have better social services such as hospitals, schools, and educational facilities, hence encouraging migration. Urban areas act as a urban hub, hence motivating individuals to migrate. So they have everything, almost everything that the normal citizen is looking for. They have entertainment, they have better economy, so it basically motivates them to migrate there. And 4, prices for goods and services are usually lower in the urban center, hence motivating persons to migrate there. So really and truly, once you use any two pull factors, then you are well on your way to basically scoring 6 marks. Part D to the question asks that we explain two measures that have been used in the Caribbean to control the rate of urbanization. Now, measures that have implemented in the Caribbean to control urbanization include: 1. The development of new towns. New towns are developed close to urban centers to basically control the urban growing population. For example, Portmore in Jamaica, they have the decentralized in development, so this is where they have commercial and industrial activities were usually concentrated in urban areas. To control urbanization, commercial and industrial activities are being spread to other parts of the countries. For example, the development in tourism is now being spread to smaller towns in Jamaica, so you no longer have just North Coast tourism or urban tourism. You now have South Coast tourism, which are like rural communities. We have sustainable development, and with sustainable development we have like heritage and ecotourism are being promoted as a means of conserving rural environment while providing jobs for others. So they're trying to create other forms of tourism. Instead of all the tourists going to the urbanized areas, they're now offering other forms of activities that tourists are interested in, such as bird seeing, ecotourism, heritage tourists coming to the rural communities to learn about heritage and the culture of the country. So they are trying their very best to basically control urbanization by introducing a lot of other measures. Once you're able to explain 2, 6 marks belong to you, and that's a total of 25 marks if you were able to answer all questions on the paper.
We are at the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and please remember to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your post notification bell in order to receive more videos like these. Leave comments below suggesting topics that you would want me to present on. In the comment section below, comment the name of your school and the territory for a shout out in my next video. Until then, bye.